On the Wado Radio Show.
Yes, it's DJ Wado. It's the Wado Radio Show. It's more than music. It's ministry. And it's not too often that I really get to interview people that I really look up to, man. And this is, I can't remember how long it's taken us to get this point to where we can do the interview, because we've been trying to connect on this for a while. But I'm so glad he's here, man. He's on the line with us. Michael Smith, formerly of His and Hers, but now of the 6 p.m. Sportscenter on ESPN, man. What's up, bro?
What's going on, Wado? How you doing, man? Yeah, you're right. This is long overdue. And it's no real legitimate excuse, because it's not for your lack of persistence. You know, every time I think I got a minute, you know, I get pulled away, man. But all in due time, and let's make it count. Yeah,
absolutely, man. And I'm glad I actually have a chance to really talk to you about some of the stuff you got going now, because I remember when you first came to ESPN and really just loving what you were doing, because I was like, man, this dude is like my age. He was like in his 20s at that point, you know, and there wasn't too many people that I saw that looked like me on ESPN, man. And now to see you as a Sportscenter anchor, 6 o'clock, killing it, is like amazing to see, bro, and inspiring.
Well, no, I really do appreciate that, man. I've grown up at ESPN, you know, in many respects. I got there when I was 25.
Yep.
And, you know, I've worn a lot of hats, had a lot of roles, you know, been through a lot, some ups and downs, some times where I doubted whether or not that was the place for me, whether or not I'd ever find a home, whether I'd ever find a position that really showcased who I was and that I could really be myself, as opposed to being where people needed or wanted me to be. You know, but, you know, this is why I said this to somebody the other day, man. You know, I'm not big on like 5-year plans and vision boards. I just want to take one day at a time, keep my head down, keep grinding. But the reason I say it is, you know, if you'd have told me 5 years ago to make a 5-year plan, I would have never said in 4 years I will be. No, I'm sorry. Let me say that again. 4 years ago, we started the His and Hers podcast.
Yep.
Because nobody at ESPN would allow us. They wouldn't give us a TV show. They needed me and Jemele Hill for a good fit on television. Whether it was because they thought we thought it, because it was a black man and a black woman, they hadn't seen us enough together, who the hell knows? But ultimately, we did a podcast because we felt like we had something to offer. So that was 4 years ago.
So that was you guys' idea to do the podcast?
Oh, yeah. That was the last resort. And it sounds crazy now because podcasts are so popular right now. That was the last resort. You know, we went to blogs with balls in Toronto, and we saw different people taking advantage of their careers, taking their careers in their own hands, and just kind of said, hey, we're not going to wait for somebody to give it to us. We're going to go out and create our own space. And so we left from there real inspired. We were like, you know what? Let's just do a podcast. And again, you know, we came up, Jemele and I came up in newspapers. We came up where it was either magazines, newspapers, radio, or television.
Yep.
You know, we weren't raised in the digital age as journalists. So the idea of starting a podcast was something that was a stretch for us, but to everybody else at that time, they were probably like, oh, well, everybody's got a podcast. Well, now podcasts are just exploding. You know, if you don't do a podcast, you're not really taking advantage of technology.
Yeah.
So my overall point in bringing that up, though, was, you know, that was 4 years ago. So if you would have asked me 4 years ago, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Wow.
I would never have said co-anchoring the 6 p.m. East edition of SportsCenter.
Wow.
So you can do 5-year plans, you can do a vision board, but sometimes you got to let God do his thing. Sometimes you got to sit back and just in amazement and wonder at God and be like, okay, that knows to me. And he'll bring you into a place of acceleration where not even you are prepared for the blessing that's coming, or it's not even coming on your time. Like sometimes, you know, you think, okay, I want it now. I'm ready. I'm hungry. I need this. You know, I'm impatient. I'm restless. It's like his timetable is sometimes even faster than ours. Because again, I never imagined being a SportsCenter anchor. And I certainly, 2 years ago, man, me and Jemele was sitting around trying to figure out, you know, what we were going to do in addition to His and Hers. Because we were like, you know what, his and hers is probably going to be, at noon on E2. Probably this is probably going to be the space for us. Doesn't look like there's real estate on E1.
Wow.
Not that being on ESPN 1 is the end all be all. We felt like we were doing great stuff on ESPN 2.
Sure.
But of course, E1, more eyes, more homes, bigger platform, more notoriety. But we were like, you know what? You do sports reporters, I'll do fantasy football. We'll continue to grow the brand individually, and then we'll come together and do our thing. And but there was some frustration in that. We just didn't think that the company valued us the way that we deserved to be valued. Well, a couple of years later, man, you can't escape us. We're doing commercials. We got promos. I'm in New Orleans about to coach a celebrity game. It's mind blowing, man. Mind blowing.
Let me ask you this, bro. When did you and Jemele realize you had this on-air chemistry? Because I also remember a time, a funny story that you guys told on, I think it was First Take, about somebody trying to set her up to date you, and you was playing Madden or something like that.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Rob Parker is the person. It was Rob Parker.
Really? It was Rob Parker?
Yeah. Rob Parker, Sherrod Blakely, who was in Boston. He was in Raleigh at the time. Rob Parker was in Detroit. It was 2002. Celtics Pistons. Jemele and I were both covering it. She for the Detroit Free Press and me for the Boston Globe. She'll never say it, but she saw this handsome, debonair young man in the locker room and was like, interested in who I was.
Yeah.
But anyway, Rob and Sherrod is like, we're going to go see Spider-Man. This was like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, the first one.
Okay.
Like several reboots ago. And they sat us next to each other, trying to get us to be us two young kids together, whatever. But, nothing happened that day, and we exchanged information. So she comes to Boston and she hits me up and she claimed that she was dropping hints to go out. I was just like, I'm in franchise mode right now, because back then I was, my dream has always been to be an NFL general manager. I want to be a general manager. That's why I'm so into fantasy football. Like, I want to run a football team. So in the meantime, I had to turn around the Cardinals when they weren't good. So I was trying to trade people away, trying to draft a franchise quarterback. I had my priorities were in order. I was focused. And so she likes to mess with me that, I basically turned her down for a game of Madden,
Hilarious. So how did you?
It worked out though, because I don't think we would have been, work partners if we'd have gone out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. And especially, obviously you're married too, so that's, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the biggest part. Like, I'm happy with 3 kids.
When did you all realize you all had that chemistry though for like the on air? Because it's like y'all's chemistry is almost like y'all been friends for like 50 years. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. We kept in touch over the years, and I think our chemistry is rooted in respect. Like, we respect each other. We respect, and if you respect the person and genuinely have an interest in not only what they have to say,
sure,
but you're also invested in people hearing what they have to say. Like, I get as much enjoyment out of listening to her as I do talking, and vice versa. She can listen to me and not say a word and enjoy it and not feel threatened or not feel, like she's taking a back seat. And same for me, it's like most dudes got egos, and I'm not patting myself on the back. It's just, I got away with women. And by that, I mean, it doesn't make me feel inferior to be sitting next to an intelligent, strong, opinionated woman who may, on certain subjects, not many, but on certain subjects, know more than me.
That's the first time I've ever seen you admit that, though.
No, but I'm good. But that's what makes us work. It's like we're equal.
Yeah.
And I view her as an equal. I view her as a partner, not as a woman who's there because she's a woman, or a woman who's there to set me up and get my opinion, as a lot of women have been in television. For the most part, women in sports television have been there for the purposes of, let me drive the show, but get it to the guy. Let me moderate. You know what I mean? So I have a respect for her intellect. and she respects me just the same. And so as the years went on, though, she would find herself at ESPN more often in Bristol. I was there more often, hosting different shows. And we just kick it. We hang out. We go get some Chinese food. We stay at the same hotel, end up in the lobby at the restaurant, and just talk and get to know each other. And the more we would talk about sports, the more we find ourselves laughing and enjoying the conversation because it would take us in different directions. And so one day we just said, man, you know what? People would really dig this. We should do a show together. We got something. And honestly, my first idea for a show was Free the Hard Way, because it was going to be me, Jemele, and a young whippersnapper out of North Carolina named Bomani Jones.
Wow!
You know, that was the show I wanted to do. It was what we call Free the Hard Way. But at that point, you know, Bomani was finding his way. People were sleeping on him. People were sleeping on me and Jemele. And that's where, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about we just was like, you know what? Let's just do a podcast. And our professional angel, her name is Sharita Johnson. She was in charge of, ESPN audio and the podcast space. And we had to audition. See, we asked for the podcast. We were like, oh, it's just the internet. They'll give you a podcast. Like, everybody got that, right? You know, you just would do it. They're like, no, it's not that simple. You have to audition for it. So we went and we sat down and we discussed Javon Belcher. Remember the linebacker who took his life for the Chiefs?
Yeah.
We discussed that on an audition podcast.
Wow.
And she liked it. And she greenlit it. And that was, our first one was February of 2013.
Wow. So all of the skits you guys do, like the Friday, the Coming to America, do you guys write those?
Yes. Because they've all been movies, or music videos, the case may be, or television shows that we have a connection to.
Sure.
Like we wouldn't spoof anything that we didn't feel like we could own.
So no Friends, right?
I like Friends, but didn't watch enough of it. So no, we never spoof Friends.
Sure.
You know, and the other part about it is you got to have a confidence that if you do it, you're going to do it right. Because when we mess with Coming to America, if you don't do a good job with it, ooh, you know, if you do Boys in the Hood and you don't like, so my favorite skit story, my favorite spoof story is Boys in the Hood, because we didn't want to do it. We had just done Anchorman. We were tired of doing spoofs. We were like, look, you're not trying to, you know, like a musician, you don't want to keep dropping albums back to back. And then, you know, it's a bad album.
Yep.
So we were like, look, we just did Anchorman. Everybody was in it. People loved it. Let's take a break. So Halloween rolls around. We're like, yo, we ain't doing a Halloween. We're chilling, you know. And our producers, credit them, they were really pushing to do something. And we kicked around whether it was Thriller, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We kicked around all kinds of ideas. I'm like, look, I went online. I found a 42 Ricky jersey. I found a Ricky jersey from Boys in the Hood. I'll wear that. Jemele could wear a Tigers hat. She could be Doughboy. I'll be Ricky, but we're not doing nothing special. We'll just dress up. Well, our producers, they weren't taking no for an answer. So they built a set. They built a porch.
Wow.
And so once we saw the porch, we were like, well, okay, well, we can't half-ass this. We got to actually do it. So me and Jemele, over the weekend, we just wrote that scene. You know, we wrote the scene. We just talked about what to take out and what to put in to make it ours. And, you know, we got Carrie to fly in from LA to be Brenda. And we did that in one take at 11 o'clock that morning.
Really?
And yeah, we did it in one take. I mean, because how many times have we seen Boys in the Hood? Like, who can't recite Boys in the Hood?
True.
So, you know, it was just, and that one got the best response. I think the other one people could kind of see, oh, okay, that makes sense. This one was like, yo, these fools actually spoof Boys in the Hood on ESPN. I think that blew people's mind. So that was that blew people's mind. So that's my favorite one.
Yeah, that was good, man. Well, a lot of people don't know about you, and this is when the first time I met you was through Chris Broussard at his Celebrity Game. Obviously, you know, a lot of our listeners know about the King Movement and what it stands for.
Yep.
But a lot of people may not know that obviously you're a Christian. You know what I mean? They probably can tell from this interview. Man, how did you kind of come to know the Lord, bro?
Well, that's a two-part answer. I mean, I grew up in the church. I'm a PGK, I'm a Christian grandkid.
Oh, wow.
I grew up in New Orleans. So my grandfather was a Baptist pastor for 55 years. He pastored historic Second Baptist Church in New Orleans, Reverend Thomas Nelson Washington.
Wow.
His church was the first to be broadcast over the radio.
Mm.
And so, he, I was an usher. I was usher board president. I sat on the front row. Everybody had license to whip my behind.
Yeah.
I was in the choir. I was in the plays. We opened the church and closed the church. So I was that kid. But that version of the Lord is different than the version I came to know as an adult, which is God as Father. It took me until I was an adult to really have more of a relationship with the Lord as opposed to a fear and respect, and part was, being a father myself allowed me to view him as father, and view him as somebody who was not there to judge or to punish you if you did something wrong or to give you commandments that were unbreakable, but somebody who, had plans to help you, to bless you and not to harm you. That somebody who you could have a relationship with who was loving and not judgmental. And I think it really shaped how I father my kids, because how your relationship with your kids dictates if you view God in the proper light. And so also walking in my ministry. I mean, I came from a background that was very traditional, Southern Baptist. And it's like, if you weren't, in the church, then you weren't of the church, not understanding the concept of, the seven mountains of culture, or just the fact that my work at ESPN in sports media was a form of ministry. I had to grow into that, once I got to be an adult. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, and my wife, I met her in the church parking lot in Boston. So she's a Christian. So that was, we feel like our marriage was definitely anointed from its inception. So yeah, man, it's just, I would say I always knew the Lord, but I came to truly know him, know his heart, and to seek him and seek his face probably more in my 20s. Yeah.
It's interesting, man. Like, I meet so many people, particularly in the sports world, that are Christians, and I always feel like God has placed a lot of you guys there strategically to do different things. Like, for instance, I know there's been a bunch of Christian rappers who, like, obviously Lecrae's been interviewed at ESPN.
Yeah, I met him recently. Good man.
Yeah, great dude. Fidel was up there as a part of that Kevin Durant piece that was running when he went back to OKC. And then there's been a ton of artists who have had their music played. And I know there's so many people that kind of make those decisions, but there's been a few that have been Christians, and I'm just like, man, like, that's been a blessing to so many people on a lot of levels. And, you just never know, what all plans God has for you when he puts you somewhere, man.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I loved about his and hers and where I am in my career right now, because, I got to a place where when I was covering the NFL, I mean, I could have my Christian walk, and I could, carry myself and conduct myself a certain way.
Yeah.
And if you asked, we could discuss it. I wasn't necessarily evangelical, but we could discuss, my faith and the Lord or whatever. But now, once I got to his and hers and I started being able to dictate the content, that's an example of being placed in a position of authority, being what we call a marketplace apostle. Like I came to understand my apostolic authority, where it's like, okay, we're talking about something. I can talk about this from the perspective of a Christian man that can touch people in a way that I never imagined. So there were certain conversations that we were having, that I would, inject and infuse my faith in naturally.
Yep.
And then I have people at home saying, man, you just preach the word. And that to me was the most gratifying aspect of my work, is not the fame, not like, oh, okay, I know you, or you got hot takes on sports, or you smart. No, that's not even that, man. My main thing is, can I inspire people? Can I touch people? Can I make people maybe look at a situation differently than they had before in a more positive light?
Sure. What'd you think about Chance the Rapper winning those Grammys over the weekend, man?
Good. I was very happy. I love his album. I love what he had to say when he got it. That's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, another guy I think is got a Grammy in his future is D1. You know, I know
from your
him.
neck
He's
of the
from
woods.
New Orleans. Yeah, man, New Orleans on. Like, that was my favorite interview that we've ever done. Because when he came on His and Hers, you know, we taped the interview with him for like 20 minutes. And I told the producers I wanted it in full. It ended up being about 15.
Yeah.
But I was like, nah, that's what people need to hear. Like, forget, with all due respect, forget putting Lil Wayne on every time he wants to come on. Like, people need to hear from this cat.
Yep.
He's, you know, and so, but just being bold, man. I love Chance, and, you know, being bold in that moment. Like, the entire, you know, Western world is watching you, and you putting forth your testimony. You know, like that's what it's all about. You know.
Yeah. You know what's funny is in the kind of the Christian rap community, there's been like a debate this whole week about whether or not this guy is even a Christian or not. And it's disheartening because I'm just like, man, I hope he doesn't see this, because I know what I was like at 23. I mean, you just talked about coming to the Lord in your 20s. Like, you're super rough around the edges. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you're not going to be a finished product. You know what I mean? Right. It's like, you know, so.
Well, I mean, you know, like how many of the heroes of the faith weren't perfect, man. I mean, it's like, you know, look, if you love the Lord and you willing to profess Him before man, that's all you need. And it's like, you know, look, whether his content is purely Christian or not, I mean, you know, he's delivering people in his own way. He's being used in his own way. Like, you know, as we both know, like, God will use you regardless of your shortcomings. He'll use you whether you want to be used or not. He don't need your permission. So, you know, it's a bonus for somebody like that to recognize God, you know, before man. So,
well, here's the flip side. When you listen to his old projects, you see the progression as well.
Now, I'm not that familiar with. I'm more of a coloring book guy. I'll be honest with you. I don't know his old stuff that well.
But there's a definite. I started getting put on to him around when Coloring Book was coming out. But when like, if you go back and listen to his old projects, like, there is definitely not how great is our God on those old projects. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't, you know, he wasn't vocalizing that, man. So, you know, it's one of those deals, man. So let me ask you this, man. Before we go, I know you say you don't have like the 5-year plan, but I feel like it feels like the trajectory that you guys are on, like, you guys have the potential to really be bigger than sports. Like, you know, have you thought about branching out into other things at some point?
I have. You know, I like to entertain people.
Yeah.
I like to make people laugh. I like to make people smile. You know, I like to make people think if I can, but I don't fancy myself as that smart. I'm into politics, but not enough to be a political pundit. Sure. I don't believe.
Sure.
But I do have a moral and social compass. So, I mean, it's like I enjoy using my voice to affect change as best I can. But like I said, I like entertaining. I've always wanted to be an actor, and I don't know if I got enough to be a trained thespian, but I might do it.
They got to put you in a new Uncle Drew movie, man.
You know, I mean, just in terms of broadcasting, I mean, I would totally cross over. Jemele and I have talked, you know, that maybe one day we're destined to be daytime talk show, or late night talk show.
Yep.
So, yeah, no, I mean, I guess, man, my main thing is, like, I just want to make sure that I am representing myself, my family, the Christian community, the best and most effective way possible. And like I said, man, just let God do his thing. I mean, because you know, his imagination is way better than ours, man. You know, because again, I just could never imagine being here as a Sportscenter anchor, man.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not saying you can't dream, but I just want my dreams to be his dreams. Yep. You know what I mean? I want to be in line. I want there to be more of a synergy, like, because the things that I'm dreaming about maybe limited. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at with it, man. I'm trying to just be the best I can be day in and day out, and inspire as many people as I can. And, you know, if that takes me to daytime television or late night or cable television or radio or whatever, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. But,
yeah, I could totally see y'all doing a daytime talk show, shoot, if Michael Strahan could do it, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
So, man, I love it, man. Well, listen, man, have fun at the All-Star game this weekend.
I
brother.
appreciate it, man. And listen, let's do this again because I feel like there's so much more we could cover if I had more time. But I'm gonna make the time. Let's do this again. Let's call this part one.
Well, I appreciate.
We'll pick this up and we'll do it another time real soon.
Absolutely, Mike, man. I really appreciate you, bro. Like real talk, man. And you were mentioning earlier how you set to inspire. You definitely inspired me, man. And I'm encouraged by what you're doing, brother. And just keep pressing, bro.
No doubt. You too, man. God bless you, bro. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man.
On the Wade Radio Show. On the Wade Radio. On the Wade Radio Show. Where it's much more than music, it's ministry.